When it comes to the Master, both Eric Roberts and Derek Jacobi delivered memorable performances, but neither had enough screen time to truly be called definitive. Eric Roberts had the misfortune of starring in the Doctor Who TV movie, which was burdened with all sorts of problems, while Derek Jacobi was absolutely phenomenal, but for a mere 2 or 3 minutes before regenerating into John Simm. It's a tragedy that we didn't get more of Jacobi in live action, because he perfectly captured the menace, intelligence and sinister charm of the Master in just a handful of lines. But since his screen time is too brief to analyse in depth, and I haven't delved into Big Finish's expansions of his character, I'll have to move on to Simm's Master and his time as Harold Saxon. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Damon, and today we're looking at one of the most ambitious Doctor Who finales, one that had all the ingredients for an absolute classic, but unfortunately stumbled when it mattered most. The 10th Doctor, Jack and Martha escape the future kind by using Jack's vortex manipulator to return to present-day London. They quickly learn that the Master has taken on the persona of Harold Saxon and is the newly elected Prime Minister. The Master has created a phone network called Archangel, which subliminally influenced the population to vote for him. After his election, he kills his entire cabinet with poisonous gas and a reporter investigating his fake identity. The three narrowly avoid a bomb placed in Martha's flat and learn that Martha's family has been kidnapped by the Master's minions. The Master contacts them to gloat about his seeming victory and reveals that the three are wanted criminals. He also makes sure to tell Jack that he sent the Torchwood team on a wild goose chase in the Himalayas, guaranteeing that no backup would be coming. From this setup, the sound of drums, the last of the Time Lords, builds into one of the most exciting showdowns in the revived era of Doctor Who. It's got espionage, dystopian sci-fi elements, a tyrannical villain ruling the world, and a grand-scale invasion. John Simm's Master is at the heart of it all, and while his manic, gleeful take on the character is a far cry from Delgado's or Ainley's camp but methodical chess master approach, he is undeniably entertaining. His delivery is top-notch, and his ability to be both threatening and flamboyantly insane gives him a unique energy that, for the most part, works. His scenes on the Valiant, particularly when he's tormenting the Doctor, show his sadistic streak while keeping that over-the-top charm. It's refreshing to see a Master who truly enjoys being evil instead of just monologuing about it. But here's the problem. While Simm is a blast to watch, his Master often leans too much into camp and loses the calculated menace that made previous incarnations so compelling. He's Joker-light, a hyperactive villain who dances around to pop music and takes too much inspiration from modern political satire, instead of being a genuine nemesis for the Doctor. Delgado's Master would manipulate others like a chess player. Ainley's Master would scheme in the shadows, setting up elaborate plans. Even Jacobi's brief take on the role showed a chillingly calm and sinister persona before exploding into madness. But Simm, he's playing a supervillain rock star, and while it's fun, it sometimes undercuts the Master's threat level. Then there's the way the story itself handles him. The sound of drums does a fantastic job setting up the stakes. The Master turning the TARDIS into a paradox machine, the introduction of the Toclophane, the reveal that they're the broken remnants of humanity. It's all great stuff. But the last of the Time Lords stumbles hard in its execution. The Doctor being aged into Dobby the House Elf was already a ridiculous visual, but the finale takes things further into nonsense by having the entire planet thinking about the Doctor at the same time, which magically rejuvenates him into some kind of glowing space messiah. I get what they were going for. A poetic resolution where humanity's hope undoes the Master's cruelty. But it's such a bizarre deus ex machina way to resolve the story. The Doctor literally floating in the air like some divine entity? It's laughable. And let's not forget Lucy Saxon, the Master's abused wife, randomly shooting him in the end. After all that build-up, all the insane schemes, the Master is taken out by his own victim. Again, I get the intent. It mirrors classic villain tropes where the master's arrogance is his downfall, but it feels anticlimactic. Then there's the whole bit with the ring setting up his inevitable return, because of course the master never truly dies. The Sound of Drums, The Last of the Time Lords, is a story with so much potential. The first half is stellar, with a creeping sense of dread as the master tightens his grip on the world, but the second half devolves into silly spectacle and a cop-out resolution. John Simm's master is great in the role, but the writing often lets him down by making him too cartoonish and then resolving everything with a magic wish spell. So is this the best master story? Hard to say. The setup is brilliant, the acting is top tier, but the payoff? Well, let's just say I wouldn't be chanting Doctor anytime soon. I'd love to say World Enough and Time. The Doctor Falls deserves a place here, but once again the master plays second fiddle in yet another Trinity team-up story. Simm returns, but instead of being the primary antagonist, he's relegated to sharing screen time with Missy, and ultimately their conflict is overshadowed by the whole Cybermen plot and the 12th Doctor's inevitable swan song. It's another case of modern Doctor Who struggling to let its villains truly shine without cluttering the story with multiple subplots and emotional detours. Simm is great, but his return feels more like a fun novelty rather than a true master showcase. Then there's The End of Time, which is another mess entirely. I can't even confidently say it's better than The Sound of Drums, The Last of the Time Lords. The sheer melodrama, the hokey resurrection plot, the ridiculous every human is the master nonsense. It's so over the top that it borders on parody. And don't even get me started on the Doctor's so-called sacrifice. Back in Logopolis, the fourth Doctor fell to his death from a radio telescope, and that was enough to kill him. But now the 10th Doctor plummets from a spaceship, smashes through a glass roof, and somehow that's not the end of him? Consistency, what's that? At the end of the day, while The Sound of Drums, The Last of the Time Lords, is deeply flawed, it at least gives us a master who is front and center, chewing the scenery and taking full control of the story. Whether that's enough to call it his best outing is another matter entirely. Thanks for dropping by the Snake Pit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, like the video, and leave your opinions in the comments, where, naturally, I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.